So today's mission is to make a nylon bush that fits in there, that holds this wheel on the log splitter. Let's get to it. G'day everybody, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to finish making the bushes for the wheels to go on the log splitter so I can get my driveway back, because it's time. So I have been doing some stuff. I'll show you what's been happening. Okay, now it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that I've been having a go, and what I've done is I've made the first two outer bushes already. Now, we all know that this thing isn't the most tightly toleranced, but I actually wanted these to spin on the hub, and they're a pretty tight fit on the axle, which is what I wanted. So I'm pretty happy with this. It could be a little bit tighter, but half a turn on that lever with the tool post in this first groove was 0.9 of a millimetre. So we're still finding our way. Saying that, I'm pretty happy with how it's gone so far. What did we have to do? Okay, so the first thing we had to do was cut this to a better length. Now I'm not going to show you cutting this because this shit is horrid to cut. It's slow and it's difficult, but the lathe is the best place to cut it because I can hold it well. The bushes are about 25 mil wide, and I'll give myself about 20 mil to play with here. So we're going to end up with about 80 mil sticking out this way, which is about there. Some other things we had to do, we had to re-center the tailstock. It was about 6 mil left of center, and because I'm only I only have one tool bit at the moment, the rest is on the way. I started with this tool post, and as you can see, she's wobbly and I need to readjust it. I started with the tool post on this outside edge, and I didn't have enough to get to the center. So air cooling is critical. I'll try and walk you through it as we go. If I'm doing stuff and it's noisy, I'll just put the words at the bottom. So our aim today is to make the bush that goes in the back of this hub, and it is, according to this, just under 23 mil wide, and sorry, that'll be deep, and it is approximately just under 35 mil in diameter. So this is a 42 millimeter piece of nylon, so we're going to have to turn some down after we cut it. So I'll mark this up and then we'll have a look. So I've allowed a little bit of spare at this end. I will drill deeper in. This is bush number 1, this is bush number 2. I'm going to cut it about here, and then this gives me a little bit to play with. If I balls this one up, I've got some left, and I also have the piece left over from the first bit. Really interesting material, this nylon stuff. It's as hard as, and cutting it sucks. So I'll get this cut off and then we'll hook in. Okay, so I'm going to turn this down to size. Last time I checked, the verniers said this was 42 mil, and or thereabouts, and it is around that 42 mil. I'm going to bring it in and do one complete pass and make sure it's round. Then I'm going to do one rotation and just see how much cuts off. I haven't done that test full on yet. There is still a bit of slop in this, but these keyways are proving very challenging to actually tighten. So this is where you'll be sitting. You'll be sitting here on the drill press today, looking this way. And here's where some of the challenges with an old lathe. So the first couple of quarter turns, we got 0.5 of a mil off the diameter. And then we got, excuse my shitty writing, we got 1.3 mil for the next quarter of a turn. And the other thing we've got is we've got some run out. Now, I'm not hugely worried about this for this part, because this needs to be a loose fit without being ridiculous, but I'm only going in quarter of turns. So I'm going to do one more quarter turn and see how we go. Righto, so we are at just on 35 mil there, and down here it's a little bit variable, but it's on, let's call it 34, and maybe a couple of smidges under 35. But the real test, believe it or not, is just this. No, not that end, idiot. This end. So that's where it's got to fit, and quite seriously, that fits. So I'm not going to change that at this point. So that's the first bit done. Okay, so it's all drilled out, and now we just need to cut it off to length. Now I'm going to give myself a little bit of playroom here, because, you know, reasons. Okay, so both bushes are made. They're both an okay fit. They roll, but they're not super wiggly. These are supposed to have a bearing in them on a 25mm shaft. This one's a little bit tighter, but I'll get the other hub and check it first. So, cutting nylon on a 1912 Drummond. Interesting. It's messy shit. I've got to go and get a broom, and you know, I'm still obviously working on the shed, but I need to get this job done. So overall, pretty happy. Managed to get this right. Have to work the run out. The slop's in this top slide and the screw, and I've got to do some research on how you adjust a run out with limited variability, or in this case it's probably two variables, too much slop. These screws are only loose, they're not tight. So yeah, let's go and have a look, see if it all fits. This will be a tight fit, it's okay. So bush on the inside. Oh, maybe not supposed to be that tight. Hang on, let me readjust some stuff. And here we are a couple of days later. Had to get a big washer to go on the outside to stop the wheel going left to right. And there's a story that goes with the nylon washer, and you might just be able to pick it. There's a little cut line in the bush. And the problem that I didn't foresee is that the tyre contacts the engine mount. Now the wheel goes round, it just makes a noise, so I'm thinking about spacing it out another 4 or 5 mil, and that should solve the problem. So I learnt some stuff about nylon between when you saw me trying to fit the bush and when I finally got it to work. When you apply heat to nylon, it shrinks. So when I machined it at 25 mil internal diameter, it actually shrunk a little bit. So, okay, cool. I then put the drill bit back through the bush, and it was like, oh, this is still 25 mil, because the heat made it. Anyway, so I then made the mistake of leaving them outside in the sunshine. They shrank even more, but not enough so that the drill bit could cut them back to 25 mil. In frustration, I Googled some stuff and I ended up cutting a slot. So I basically took a round bush and opened it. It then slides on the shaft really easy. The wheel still goes on. It still spins. It's a 1 to 2 kilometres maximum distance movement per year. Not worried about it. I also learnt that my lathe needs some serious tolerancing work, and that's okay too, because it's 115 years old, and that's okay. It just takes some time. So the log splitter at this point is done. I can use it as it is. I might tinker around with it and fix it. I've got to do an oil change. Just had the same oil for about 5 centuries in the hydraulics and the motor. So I've got to do that before next winter, which is only 6 months away. A successful project. Commissioned the lathe, found some problems, learned how it worked. Fairly low stress, high safety, low stress. It's going to be used now for cleaning bolts and various other things that I can just use something small that goes round and round and round for. What's its next project? Just restoring the big lathe, and then we'll see where we go from there. So anyway, job done. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Oh, that is some good stuff.